I was like dumbfounded. I'm like, why would they get rid of me? I was doing so well.
I bawled my eyes out between the tests.
Right now, I'm just trying to live in the moment and try to do everything I can.
I've been struggling with mental health for a long time. Hi, I'm Vanessa, and this is the Trojan Voice. Episode 2 is all about second chances.
Second chances?
Second chances.
Do-overs.
The opportunities we give ourselves.
We have 9 stories for you from 8 different students. First up is my piece about mental health and giving yourself a second chance. All right, so I guess we just start, right? I'd like to talk about mental health. Hi, my name's Vanessa Beaudry, and this is my piece on giving myself a second chance. Well, I've been struggling with mental health for a long time, obviously. 2020 is where it all started, but it got really bad, 2 years ago. If we go back to 2020, I was grade 8 when COVID hit. So I was going into a new school here. I was coming into West Ferris as a brand new grade 9 where I didn't know anyone because none of my other friends transferred here. And we had moved 2 times. So that was an adjustment. I had to adjust to that and then adjust to everything else that was going on. It was a mess. I didn't really notice it, because obviously, oftentimes you're not conscious about, what's going on. But you don't know, oh, this is, anxiety kicking in. I started to become, super self-conscious about myself, and no one really knew what was going on because I wasn't expressing it. I never had a vision in my head. I just didn't want to be the way that I was. With anxiety and depression came my eating disorder and all body dysphoria and all this other stuff that just caused my life to be a mess. I was kind of just I felt I almost felt broken. It's almost I don't know. You think of yourself so it's almost you think of yourself so differently. Sometimes I feel people put themselves into a certain category or type of person, quote unquote. You just see yourself differently almost. No one can see you. No one can see what you're feeling. No one can see my anxiety and no one can see my depression and no one knows how I feel about my body. But inside, I'm oh, I'm not like everyone else. And I know that I'm not. So it was kind of I just felt so isolated. I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't want to be with anyone. And it just kind of took over me. It was me. And that was it felt really bad, essentially. I started working out a lot, eating really healthy, or sometimes not eating at all. And it just became a habit, really. And I didn't notice it. I thought it was normal until one day, I had come downstairs and I remember I was getting ready for work and I was so unhappy that I started crying and she asked me what was wrong. I said, I wish I could just stop eating and lock myself in my room and just work out all day. That was a huge, huge red flag for her. We eventually ended up going to the doctor about it. I went to a specialist. She was yeah, you have really, really bad anxiety and it's causing this. And then she was I need you to go see this other specialist. And then she was I need you to go see this other thing. And I'm putting you on this medication and all this stuff. And it was a really emotional period in my life because everything was changing. I don't want to blame it all on COVID, but I had been playing hockey for 7 years before COVID. That was a distraction. I had friends. I had a sport. I was active. I was just a happy child. And when COVID hit, I stopped playing hockey, obviously. And that was the one thing that kept me happy. In December of 2022, right before Christmas, my anxiety got it got really, really bad. And I ended up having an episode. I had been dating my boyfriend for, I want to say it was a year and a half, 2 years-ish. He knew about it, but he didn't really see what extent it could get to. And in December of 2022, right before Christmas, my anxiety got it got really, really bad. And I ended up having an episode. It's called like a manic episode. So if you want to, like, a lot of people don't know it as so, but if you want to call it like a suicidal episode or whatever you want to call it, he was there. He basically saved my life. Like, I didn't really know what was going on. I was just like, I just kept crying and like just kept saying a bunch of things. And then I remember we were in my bedroom and he actually, like, he was holding me down. Like, he had me in almost like shackles. He was like, you're not going anywhere. And I know I kept resisting it, but I wish I didn't. Because if he wasn't there, I probably would not be here today. And I'm really thankful for that. It was really helpful for him to be there because he experienced it with me. He just, like, he knows. Like, he doesn't know a lot of things. Like, I have to say that. Like, I feel like a lot of boys in, like, teen relationships, like, sometimes they can be a little, like, oblivious to, like, the little things. But I really do appreciate that, like, he knows what I need, like, in the moment. Like, whether I just need to, like, sit there in silence or whatever the case may be. But he knows how I feel. So, like, if I'm ever feeling the same way or, like, I say something, like, now if I say something like that, like, he knows that I'm serious. After that episode, I obviously had a period of time where I just didn't know what to do with myself. Like, I couldn't go to school for like 3 days after that, and everyone was like freaking out. Like, my parents had me on like constant watch. They never ever let Hunter stay at my house, but they let him stay there for 2 days and actually sleep with me because they honestly didn't trust me. And I know that this kind of stuff doesn't only affect my life, it also affects their life because they live with me and they love me and they don't like seeing me in pain. And they also don't like when I get agitated. That was a big part about it, was thinking about other people and the way that it was affecting their lives, not only mine, and trying to not fix it, but work with it. Like, I do believe that if you kind of just like change the way that you look at things, like instead of looking at anxiety and depression, or instead of looking at it like a disease or whatever, like something that can take over you, like just kind of like learn to embrace it. Like, and I have these little, I call it like my little sparkle. Like, I have a sparkle to me, and that's the thing I used to trust about the most, is like I go out and I put myself out there and I act like myself, but then like later on in the day I'll be like, oh, why did I say that? And like I don't do that anymore, because if you constantly, like, this thing will, like, it's like a chemical imbalance in your brain, and like that's what causes this stuff. But if you, like, you can't always fight against it. And I know that people are like, oh, I'm like fighting this and I'm fighting that, but I just chose to like I said, I just chose to live with it. Like, it's not gonna go away. Yeah, sure, like I do suffer sometimes from my depression, but like I have it. Like, I don't always suffer from it. Like, I just have it, and that's how it is. So that would be like my one piece of advice to everyone. Like, don't let it define who you are. Like, yeah, sure, you have it and you may suffer with it, but like you don't have to go around thinking that you suffer with it. Like, I live with it. And I learned that, and I'm embracing who I am. And I love it. I've never been happier.
My name's Alex, and I'm in grade 9.
My second chance is when, about 5 months ago, I was taking out my dirt bike, and I decided to let my sister ride it one day. And don't trust her with it myself, so I ride on the back of it. She's 18. I decided to let her ride it. I'm on the back, and after about 3K, she decides to fully rev the engine down our dirt road. And after about like 2.5 kilometers, the engine just starts to like spark. So we throw it to the ground. My sister, not knowing what to do, just stands to the side. I grab some gravel from the ground and throw it on the dirt bike. but the fire doesn't go out. So I told my sister to run back to the house to get the fire extinguisher while I watch the bike. We get it, and by then, the dirt bike is just scorched, like keys and everything. All that's left is the engine. So we call someone, they take it back to our place, and that's the day I almost died.
Hi, my name is Rowan Girard, and I'm telling my second chance of getting my G1 driver's license. Back in August of 2023, I took the driver's ed summer course, and I finished that. Then my birthday came early September, but I couldn't take my G1 then. So I spent the next month and a half studying, but I only did the G1 driver's app. On my part, that wasn't a good idea. And then finally, after being scared, I took it late October, and I failed 3 times in a row within like a 2-hour period. I bawled my eyes out. I'm pretty sure I bawled my eyes out between the tests, so that's like 3 times. And then I finally almost got it my second time, but one question off, and it was about motorcycles, and I just, oh, they're fast.
What part was the most difficult for you?
Probably just trusting myself, but I don't know. It's my way of thinking the answer I think is right versus what the actual answer is.
It's relatable. I really struggled with signs doing that test.
See, I'm not a good driver even now. I failed the rules of the road 3 times. I passed the signs 20 to 20 my first try.
That's good.
But I just didn't know who went first at like a 4-way turn. And it sucks because I did all that preparation and just failed.
Yeah, that part's a lot of memory too.
And then it's just like people who have done less studying than me pass their first time. It's like, I don't know how they do that. And it really sucks after like I'm a decent student and I take pride in my school, but then failing a test, which I rarely ever do, was a really big blow to my pride.
Yeah, it can be a shock sometimes.
I'm so lucky that my parents paid for it. A little spoiled there. And then, okay, back to the story. I failed 3 times. I bawled my eyes out that night. I felt pretty worthless. And yeah, even though when it should have been easy in reality. So my friends came over that night and we just hung out. And I was probably scared for the next October to early February. And then my parents have kept pushing me over the like March break and winter break. They're just like, oh, you got to take your driver's license. Like, it's time to do it. And I'm like, no, it's not important. Like, and if you've ever failed a driver's license, you know that, like, after you failed it, you kind of don't want anything to do with it. So, finally, one day in class, 4th period, parenting, people were encouraging me, and I was like, you know what? Vanessa, actually, she's like, just do it, Rowan. I'm like, Vanessa, you're so sweet. I'm like, okay. Studied this little book I had in my bag for 4 months. Went home, studied till 2 a.m. My mom took the next morning off, and we just went straight down before school. Passed first try.
How'd you feel about that?
I was shocked. I'm like, why didn't I do this sooner? Like, I can drive now? Like, I can finally drive? I can finally drive a vehicle that can probably kill someone?
Have you been driving since?
Yes, I'm not a good driver.
That's all right.
Really suck at lane changing. Still, rules of the road, I suck. Who goes at first at the 4-way stop? I almost rear-ended a cop.
Jeez.
Coming off a highway I'm pretty sure I wasn't supposed to be on. My parents make that very clear. I'm a bad driver.
When do you think you're going to go for your G2?
Okay, I should be getting it by because I took the course 1 year to 8 months, October 23rd. So I'm driving to a Halloween party. That's all I have to say.
It's pretty close when you think about it.
Yeah, and if I took it near my birthday, next month I'd had my G2. But I didn't.
Yeah, I took it 3 months delayed too, so I'll be getting it soon though.
I know. All my friends that have failed, they take such a big time to like go again. It just sucks. And then you tell people who don't try to get their license right, I'm like, do it. Just do it. Like, in reality, it's really easy compared to hyping yourself up and this.
We're going to be interviewing
Alex Abraci.
All right, Alex. So what is your story you have on second chances?
So when I was a baby, I somehow got onto the street like I was in the do you know where people park? That like
The side strip of a road.
Yeah, the side strip.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So the car was about to back into me, and then this guy saw. Just imagine those action movies, right? Where it's like, he that was my second chance of, because if I were to get run over, I would have been splattered all over the road.
Yeah.
Died, right? So, that's a second chance that I know of, and I was told about it from my mother.
Here we are. Today I'm going to be sharing a story about Kade Poleski versus Burger King. Probably a couple years ago now. I'd say maybe start of grade 10. I was looking for a job, my first job, actually. In the summer, I'm still looking around for just jobs everywhere. I keep applying to other places. Nothing's really available or open. And then one night, I'm on Indeed, and I see new position available, Burger King team member. And I'm like, oh, maybe I could work at a fast food joint for my first time. Well, see, the thing about me is, though, I really like all of this, like, cooking and, like, preparing and cleaning, all of that kind of stuff. I have a resume, poorly built resume, mind you, my first resume, so it's probably still poorly built. Either way, I submit it through Indeed by the click of a button, just click. Weeks later, I get an email back, and it's, hey, are you available for this time at this place? And I'm like, of course I'm available. I don't have a job. I tell my dad, I'm like, Dad, I got a job interview. He's like, Kade, you got a job interview? I'm like, yes. He seemed surprised. He brings me to the place. I'm nervous, really nervous. And this is over at the Travel Lodge down on Lakeshore. I'm just standing outside the door. I'm like, is this the place I'm supposed to go to? And I walk in. Is this for the Burger King interviews? Yeah, what's your name? My name's Kade. So who's interviewing me? And then there's like 3 people, of course, in the room all at once. So it was like a dumb question. Yeah, they're like, okay, come sit down over here. And they're like this kind of interrogation, like face to face. So, do you have any experience? No, this is my first job. Are you sure? Yes, no experience, no nothing. We talk for a little while longer. I hand them my resume. You know, we want you to come back. Oh, really? That's cool. That's awesome. I'm like almost skipping to the car kind of thing. I'm like, I just got a job. Yeah, I'm like, I get in the car. All right, Dad. They want me back. They want you back? Are you sure? Yes. Out of the other applicants, they want me back. So a couple weeks go by, and then they send me another message. All right, can you come back to the same place? We are going to get you to meet with the regional manager. I'm freaking out. I am sweating. I've put on this nice colored button down. We sit down, chat for a while, and things are going well. All right, so since the place isn't open and it's still under construction, we're going to have to get you to do some online training. Anyways, so that goes well. And I go home. Of course, I'm happy again because things went well. I get my first shift. They just threw me in and expected me to learn everything. Can you touch the fryers? Well, based on this training thing, I cannot until April. Well, you can. Well, the training says I can't. So it's a lot of confusion like that. And it's like, okay, where do I find this? And then they're always annoyed with me because I'm always asking questions on where everything is, even though they didn't show me anything or everything. This is probably why I hate this job. Like, I hate it. I hate it now as I'm looking back on it because it wasn't my fault. But that I'm going to save for a little bit while later. I still got to tell you about the first couple of shifts. Okay. Hey, we're good. Hi, welcome to Burger King. How can I help you? Oh, you want a Whopper combo? Would you like lettuce, tomatoes, onions? Would you like all this stuff on it? So the first day was the 7-hour shift. I was dead tired. I'm like, oh, I hope they don't ask me to come in again. The next day, I have to come in for a 6-hour shift. And then it slowly drops down to 4, 5, and 4. But that's like almost, in a matter of 4 days, that's like 13 hours in 2 days. That is insane, especially with me. Like, I have to take medication at a certain time, or in the next 5 minutes, I get sick. They didn't show me where anything was, so I was still asking questions. I was a little forgetful because I was a little overworked and stressed. Then comes night shifts. I get my first one after school. I walk over. I'm like, all right, it's game day. I sign in, put my employee code in. 30 minutes later, the dinner rush comes in. Imagine that tiny little living room sized place of the dining room in Burger King, full out the door on my first shift too. And I'm like slow. I'm painfully slow. They have to send in another employee to help me. And then we get through it. I'm like sweating. I'm like, oh my God. Eventually I get the hang of it. It's not as bad. I'm doing it faster. I'm still forgetting names, but that's okay. I'm figuring it out still. I'd say probably maybe almost a month in, I finally figure out I can take a 15-minute break. So I've been on my feet for like 5 hours every single shift without a break. I can take a break? I can take a break? They never told me that. Maybe a month goes by. I'm still working there. And then that's when the shit hits the fan. That's when that ends. All of Burger King ends for me. It's the night shift. It's dinner rush too. I'm almost to the end of my shift, maybe 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half left. I'm not feeling well because I don't have my medication in me. And I'm like dizzy and I'm like about to throw up. And I'm like just fatigued. And it's just awful. I'm like going so slow. Thinking and walking are out of the question. And I'm still working. I'm like at the front counter with my head on it. I'm like, how can I help you? And I'm like holding back barf. And it's awful. It's like, are you okay? Yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I throw up in the trash can right in front of customers, right next to them. Are you sure you should probably go home if you're not feeling? I'm afraid of going home. Kade, can you come to the back? I go to the back and it's like a little small room. It's like probably about the size of a bathroom. They look at me and are like, Kade, we're going to send you home early. Oh no, this is not good. This is not good news for me. If you read through the actual employment agreement, they can fire you within 3 months without reason. And I was getting close to the 3 months, but I wasn't quite there yet. I grab my stuff. I'm sitting outside, and this is when I start crying. I am crying my eyes out. I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? What did I do? And this guy, a really nice guy, by the way, he comes by, he walks up to me. Did they just fire you? I don't know. No, they didn't fire me. I swear. Mom comes by, picks me up. We go home, and I forget about it. I get like less and less shifts as it goes on. And then all of a sudden, I'm not on the schedule. It keeps going like that for weeks. They don't even tell me. And eventually I'm like, okay, so apparently don't have a job anymore. They ghosted me. I was like dumbfounded. I'm like, why would they get rid of me? I was doing so well. We eventually do go back. Let me get the manager. So am I even working here anymore? Manager never comes out. So we leave. I'm just clueless. They make me feel like an idiot. It was so confusing for the longest time. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to start looking for another job. I find a food truck near my house. And this is my second chance. Right here, right now. I get in the food truck. It's awesome. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm learning new things, how to save money. The craziest thing I have learned from this experience is the difference between Burger King and the place called Dino's.
My name's Sawyer, and I'm in grade 9. So it's the first cross-country skiing race. It was at the Nordic Ski Club. Most of us were pretty new. It was a 1.3K. It was going to be a 3K. So I'm going. I get down the main stretch, and I am coming up to the end. I pass somebody, and I start to fall. When you fall in cross-country skiing, you lose tons of time. It can make you lose or win a race in some cases. So I'm going. I almost fall. I start wobbling a bit, but then I don't. We're like, let's go, right? Yeah.
W.
Yes, sir. And then after that, I keep going. I go around the little loop and then go through the finish line, and I place second.
Well, I'm Victor Lopez, and this is my piece about second chances. What I think is every day we get a second chance, right? You get a second chance to be a better version of yourself. You get to be someone different, right? But at the same time, it's always going to be yourself. Myself, for example, this whole year outside of my country is going to be very different. I think I'm a completely different person from when I first knew I was going to come, from the first time I came here. And when I go back, the people are going to notice it. You know, at the beginning, I was always like looking forward to having everything planned or what I was going to do in the week, in the month. And right now, with the time I've got left, which I consider this, little, it's just day by day. Like, that's the beauty of it. Not knowing what's going to come, but accepting it. I've lived in Spain all my life. Then I came here kind of unexpectedly. I didn't know I was going to come here. My teacher just sort of came into me and said, there's this scholarship. It's going to take you to X place. We don't even know where. But I think you could be like a perfectly eligible candidate. So I said, sure, why not? The daily thing, the cultural shock you live every day. Going to the supermarket, just going, seeing people walking around, you see that we're not that different, but we are at the same time. That's what makes us the same. So you start looking at people differently, as if, or that this is Canadian, maybe this one's Indigenous, maybe this one. It makes you realize that we're all players, in a sense. Thinking about it, maybe this whole thing is also a second chance, for all the experiences that are coming to me. This is like very good material to do a lot of things with it. Like everything I've lived, I have to convert it somehow to who I am, like introduce it to my life, and then at the same time introduce it to like everybody else when I come back. Because everything that I've lived, that I've experienced, and I'm going to until I leave, it's not gonna stay here. It's gonna come with me, and all the people that meet me or talk to me or whatever are gonna see that. Right now, being here has made me realize that it really doesn't matter, because if someone has to come, it's going to come, and you can't control it. Time's gonna pass anyway, so why worry about that? So I don't think I would have realized that until much longer time if I wasn't here. I remember when I was back, I didn't want to try practically anything new, and that's all I've been doing for the past 7 months. At first, you're basically on your own. It's like a fresh new start, and I don't think some people could believe me. I was doing that, but I did. I knew it was going to be hard, and it still is. But I'm trying to try everything I can, because that's what this is all about. That's how you're going to know what you want to do in the future. If you're open-minded, if you're, just that. But right now, I'm just trying to live in the moment and try to do everything I can. Well, my biggest advice is it doesn't have to be a radical change. Just try to be better day by day. And in no time, you'll notice that the change is actually happening, and you're responsible for it. No one else has done it for you. It's all been you. Like, just the little things. If you have the chance to do something good for someone, do it. If you have the chance to do something good for yourself, do it. To try something new, just, you know that you're gonna be better when you go back. You're gonna be different, but in a good way. Because after everything has happened, you've seen a lot of things. You've seen the world, and you realize that you're not alone in it.
Hi, my name is Girard, and here's my story about softball. So I play house league softball, and last summer is my second year playing. So the first year, I sucked. I was so bad, I was outfield most of the time. You know what? I love the year. It was a bit of a challenge because going to a new sport, especially when we're this old. And then I decided to give it again this year because I loved it so much last year. Go to conditioning, and I meet my team. I did not want to be there at all. I went to go home. Pretty sure I cried on the way back.
Does a team ruin the experience that much?
Depends who you have. Mine, I was not. I'm a girly girl. I'm not a girly popular girl who actually has a lot of friends. And I felt like they were in a different league. These are rep players and a year younger, so they mushed like 3 leagues together. There's 17-year-olds playing with 13-year-olds. I was the second oldest on the team. I have a late birthday. It was not fun. First impressions of everyone, I just did not feel it. I was like, these girls are gonna treat me like shit, crap the whole year, and I'm just gonna have a bad year. You know what? My parents were like, we're not gonna force you to do it, and it was like, go back. So I give it another chance after many fights with my parents, and they're like, go back one more time. If you don't like it, you can quit. I'm like, okay, fine, go back. I loved it. I gave it a second chance, and it really, actually, I love the year. I love the girls I played with. I love the teams I played with. There's a couple girls who are new first year, and they're younger, and it was awesome taking on like a bit of a, not coaching role, but helping them guide, and it just felt awesome. And it was also my first year playing back catcher, which is now my perma position, and I loved it. Like, I wasn't terrible. I was pretty good. I had these girls scared to run home on me. I'd be there, and they know that I will somersault dive and grab them, and which I did. I caught one girl by the foot last. She jumped over me. Oh, she hated it so much. It was so awesome. I got the longest hit out of the games on our final tournament. My team won their first tournament of the year, but too bad it was the fun tournament. So being the second best in the league, like, it was pretty awesome. These girls. Some girls I had past experience with, and they totally changed. I saw some girls I thought had everything, and I found out some tougher stories about them, and it just changed my perspective of people.
Y'all kind of grew as a team?
Yes, and I grew very much on my own, too. It was a great experience to be with all the girls, and I'm glad I stuck with it. I found the position I love, coaches I loved. Other teams are awesome. This year I didn't swear at the mount. I was the first girl in the league to ever be told not to swear at the mount. I stopped swinging my back into the back catcher and running. No more sliding on first base, which if you know, you know. You should not do that. I got a couple close, good home runs, and it was really fun.
That's strike 3.
My name is Decan. I'm in grade 9. My second chance isn't really that bad. It's about the first time I ever went on a flight. I'm obsessed with planes and everything to do with aviation. On my way to the Dominican, I came from Toronto to the Dominican. It was an Airbus A330-200 from Air Transat, both ways, both under different registrations. And when I got off, I wanted to see the cockpit, but due to unforeseen circumstances, they had us leave out the rear. The reason why this is a second chance is on the way back, I was able to go in the cockpit, get some pictures, get some videos. It's not really that interesting of a story, but it's a second chance.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. The Trojan Voice is recorded and produced on the traditional territories of the Anishinabek and land covered by the Robinson-Huron Treaty of 1850, in harmony with all our relations. Miigwech. This podcast is made by students of West Ferris Secondary School. Today you heard pieces by
Alex,
Girard,
Alex Abraci.
Kade, Poleski,
Sawyer Watts.
Victor Lopez.
Decan.
and me, Vanessa Beaudry. Our senior producers are Wrauley and Robin Bartlett. If you liked this episode, make sure to subscribe and share this podcast with others. We're available on Apple Podcasts,
Spotify, YouTube.
YouTube, and just about everywhere else people get podcasts. We'll be back with another episode soon.